I'm Jenny Lawson. This is video number 3 in the unnamed series of videos, and it is probably one of the most important and most serious, and I am going to try my hardest to get through it without crying. One of the questions that I get asked the most often, at least once a day, is I'm having problems with depression or anxiety or bipolarism or some sort of mental disorder, and I need help, and how do you do it? How do you get through the day? Um, I have uh, chronic anxiety. I have mild to moderate depression, which comes and goes. I have impulse control disorder and mild OCD, and I have some self-harm things that I'm working through that are mild and nothing to worry about, but still enough that I need to be in therapy. And that would be my first thing to say is therapy is wonderful. If you are seeing a psychiatrist, someone who's prescribing you drugs, that is awesome. But a lot of times psychiatrists are not really there to help you talk through the actual issues that you have. If you have an issue that is strictly chemical, a psychiatrist is fabulous because they will be able to give you the drugs that you need and you don't have to work through anything. But if you don't, then seeing a therapist, someone who can talk you through why you're doing the things that you are doing to yourself, can be extraordinarily helpful. Coming out about having mental illness is difficult. A lot of times people don't understand it. I personally have had issues where people change the way that they act around me, sometimes in ways where they're more sensitive around me, sometimes where they avoid me because they're afraid that they're going to do something, or because they're afraid that I'm going to do something. And I have to just look at that and think, that's okay. It's all right to be scared of something like this, because mental illness is scary. It's scary on the inside. It's scary to have to deal with it. It's probably scary to have to see it firsthand. Um, if you are currently having any thoughts of self-harm, you need to be talking to someone. There are all sorts of resources. There are suicide hotlines. Remember that depression lies. That is the probably number one best thing that anyone ever told me, and they are so right. Because when I'm in the middle of a strong depression and I think things would be better without me being here, I realize later, that was so wrong. That was so wrong. And it's wrong when your brain is telling you that too. It's wrong when your brain is telling you that the world would be better off without you, because you are amazing and wonderful. And when it comes right down to it, people who suffer from mental illness, there's a couple of different things. First of all, I think it makes you, in some ways, a deeper person, because you can't feel great joy without feeling great pain, because you can't appreciate it in the same way. It also increases your empathy levels in many situations, and I know for me personally, it has made me the person that I am today. If I had to choose between having mental illness and not having mental illness, I don't know. Right now, I would say, of course, I would want to have mental illness because it made me who I am. But when I'm right in the middle of a severe depressive episode, I would do anything to escape it. But clear-headed, I think it's for the best. I'm glad I'm who I am. I'm glad I'm broken. And I think it happened for a reason. And maybe that reason is because I can talk to other people about it. And maybe that reason is because maybe my daughter one day is going to struggle with the same issues and I'll be able to recognize them. I had mental illness when I was a kid, and back then people didn't recognize it. They weren't able to say, oh, this 7-year-old has chronic anxiety disorder. They instead said, oh, she has a nervous stomach and she has, some issues and she's quirky. And now things are changing and people are coming out and it's becoming much more known and there's less of a stigma, and you can be honest about it. Talk to your family. You need to have someone watching out for you, because in the middle of a true Depression, you cannot trust what your brain is saying to you. And typically, when you're coming to me and asking me the question of what do you do, how do you get out of it, right now you're not thinking straight. So you need to be talking to someone, talk to a friend, talk to a family member, someone who can tell you what is real and what's not real. Also, drugs. I am a big fan of legal prescribed drugs in moderation, taken with a doctor's support and all that fun stuff. But I do have to say that it's very easy to abuse them, that you do have to go through withdrawals when you have to go off of them, which sort of sucks, and that it's difficult to have a suitcase full of pills that you have to carry with you just to be normal. But taking drugs for your mental illness is no different than taking drugs for diabetes or heart disorder or any other chemical issue that happens to your body. Your brain is part of your body as well. It shows its illness in a different and sometimes frightening sort of way. There is a website that I use on a pretty regular basis and I send people to. It's called erasingthedistance.org/resources. And it gives you lots of different resources that you can call. It gives you lots of great information to make you feel a lot less alone. And it can give you resources to help you. Personally, whenever I get into the deepest throes of a depression, there are several different things that I do, and I'm just going to share them here and tell you that every single person is different. The things that help me might not necessarily help you, and vice versa. So if you want to, in the comment section, share what works for you, then that can be really helpful. I will say that if you're a self-harmer, listening to the stuff that I'm about to talk about might be a trigger, so just FYI. I can tell you with depression, a lot of times getting sun can help a little bit. Full sunlight, exercising sometimes can help. It can also help. A lot of times I will make videos of myself talking through what I'm going through and telling myself that I'm going to be okay. And then I'll listen to the videos and I can kind of tell like what's real and what's not real, and it becomes a lot more obvious because then I'm seeing myself from a distance. If you're having problems with depersonalization, where you feel like you're wearing a mask and you're not part of your real self, the most important thing to remember there is that it does pass and that it is incredibly uncomfortable, and you need to let people know what it is that you're going through so that they understand it. If you're dealing with self-harm, one of the things that has helped me is to hold ice in my hands as hard as possible for as long as I can, because it causes really similar sort of pains without any lasting effects and without actually hurting yourself, but enough, it still hurts enough to make the mental pain go away. Drugs, big fan of them. I also want to point out, though, that I have gone on drugs before that made me suicidal. So keep in mind that just because a drug doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean that all drugs won't work for you. Sometimes you just have to keep in touch with your doctor and just tell them, these are the things that I'm thinking, and they'll get you off and get you onto the right family. I guess the most important thing that I would say is to get help, because you're important. You are important. And the people that are in your life, they want you there. Even if you are completely broken, no matter what, they want you. I want you there. Don't leave. And that's a message for me too. Don't leave.